Hi everyone, we're back in chapter 6, skincare products, chemistry, ingredients, and selection. And in this section 6-2, we're going to describe the cosmetic regulations, laws, and product safety. So as an esthetician, it's critical to learn the laws, regulations, and safety guidelines when it comes to cosmetic products. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, they are responsible for ensuring the safety of our nation's cosmetics. Cosmetics is just includes makeup and skincare products. Now, there are laws and regulations that apply to cosmetics on the market, and two of the most important laws pertaining to cosmetics marketed in the United States are these two: the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act and the Fair Packaging and Labeling Act. Okay, so the FDA, they regulate cosmetics under the authority of these two laws. Now, the law does not require cosmetic products and ingredients other than color additives to have FDA approval before they go on the market. In fact, no cosmetic may be labeled or advertised with statements suggesting that the FDA has approved of that product. Okay, so there's a did you know section. The FDA does not approve cosmetics before they go on the market. The FDA only regulates cosmetics in relation to safety, labeling, and claims made for a product. Okay, so I'm going to just tell you things I've seen with this. I know that I know of right now, there's two people that have started their own skincare line here in Boise. And neither one of them, well, one of them, she's not even an esthetician or anything, and she just started her own company. And people are just buying these products of these two companies, and this is just me. I don't like products, this is me, I don't like products that haven't been tested, and so we know, is the product actually penetrating? We don't know the chemical reactions. They don't even know the finished product because they don't test, and they don't have, testing is really expensive and it takes a lot of time to do that, and they don't have those resources. So, but they are selling their products. People are buying them just because they smell good. And so you guys make your own decisions on that. Personally, for me, I don't want a product just because it smells good. I want a product that literally has scientific research and it's backed. And I know that it's having, changes in the skin. It is performing. So that's just me and my 2 cents on that. But the FDA does not get involved other than these three. Safety. So if somebody was selling a product and somebody had a skin or eye irritation that was pretty severe, then the FDA will get in there. And then on their labeling, and then claims, the claims made for the product. So those are the only reasons that the FDA will get involved. Okay, so how does the law define cosmetics? Well, the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, the FD&C Act, they're the ones who define cosmetics as articles intended to be rubbed, poured, sprinkled, sprayed on, introduced into, or otherwise applied to the human body for cleansing, beautifying, promoting attractiveness, or altering the appearance. So that's how the law defines it. So cosmetics, those are intended to affect only the appearance of the skin. Okay, so how does the law define a drug? Well, the FDA the FD&C, Act, they define drugs as articles intended for use in diagnosis, cure, mitigation, treatment, prevention of diseases, and articles other than food intended to affect the structure or any function of the body of man or other animals. So that what that means is it's literally changing the structure of the body. Okay, so drugs and skincare products, those are intended to cause actual physiological changes such as the structure or the function of the skin. Now, can a product be both a cosmetic and a drug? Well, some non-prescription medicated products, they do have lower doses of active ingredients, and they do meet the definition of both cosmetics and drugs. Now, these are considered to be OTC, over-the-counter drugs. So just like in medicine, you guys, when they develop a new medication, and it always has to be under doctor's supervision when it first comes out, but then over a long period of time and use, when they see very minimal side effects and the dosage isn't real strict, then that's when they will put it on over the counter. And I've seen that in my lifetime before, where it used to be you could only get it prescription on a specific thing, and then now you can see it over the counter. But that's how drugs work that way. So this may happen when a product has two intended uses. For example, like a cleanser. A cleanser is a cosmetic because it's intended to cleanse the skin. But an acne cleanser with benzoyl peroxide, which benzoyl peroxide is a drug, okay, so because it's intended to use, we use it to treat acne. Now, this type of product is considered both a cosmetic and a drug in this case. Now, among other non-prescription cosmetic drug combinations are moisturizers and makeup marketed with SPF claims, because sunscreen, did you know, is a drug. Some of the sunscreen ingredients. Okay, now these products must comply with the FDA requirements for both cosmetics and for drugs. So prescription medicated products, they can be considered both a cosmetic and a drug. So now we're going to talk about what are cosmeceuticals. Now, the term cosmeceutical has no meaning under the law. The product can be legally be a drug, it can be a cosmetic, or a combination of both. So the professional skincare industry, they created this term as a bridge to gap between cosmetics and pharmaceutical drugs. Okay, so it can be used in many ways, but in general, it does refer to professional skincare products and makeup that do include pharmaceutical grade ingredients. And this pertains to the higher concentration, the grade, and the purity of their active ingredients. Okay, so now we're going to go into product labeling laws and regulations. So the FDA regulations for cosmetic labeling, they state that cosmetic companies have to, they must list the company's name. Okay, they have to have the location and their distribution point, as well as all the ingredients in the product. Now, this allows consumers to check for ingredients that they could be allergic to. So, ingredients also have to be listed in descending order of predominance, starting with ingredients with the highest concentration, and then they end with ingredients having the lowest concentration. Okay, now here's an exception to that rule. If ingredients have a concentration of less than 1%, then they can be listed in any order. So a fragrance, it has to be listed as fragrance, but the particular ingredients used for that fragrance, they don't have to be listed. So I'm going to show you here. I have a book here, and these are our functional ingredients. But you see it starts with water, and then it goes on down to the least concentration. Okay, but that's one thing. Most products, not all, but most of them will start with water or aqua because that's the highest concentration in that product. So you will see that in there. Now we're going to talk about the INCI names. What that stands for is International Nomenclature Cosmetic Ingredients. So the FDA, they require that all cosmetic labels include a list of ingredients using the standardized INCI names for each ingredient. Okay, so the INCI names, they're allocated by the American Cosmetic Association. And also the Personal Care Products Council. And then those are used internationally. Okay, so the adoption of these INCI names, they ensure that cosmetic ingredients are consistently listed using the same ingredient name from product to product. And then this allows consumers to easily compare multiple products that have the same ingredient names all around the world. So that's why they do that. Also, there's a did you know, and avoid allowing products and their containers to become dirty, guys, and outdated, rancid, or stale, as these conditions do lead to adverse reactions. Another thing you want to remember, products that are stored in dark containers like this, these products, and if you keep them in a cool temperature, they will last a lot longer rather than products that are in clear bottles like this. So also, when you're using a product, you should always close the container when you're done. So here we have a product. You don't just leave the lid off. You always have to close the product, because otherwise what happens is not only airborne pathogens can enter into that, but then it dries up your product and it oxidizes it, so it won't last as long and it's not as effective. So make sure that you close those containers when not in use. So a lot of bottles will have snap tops. Make sure you snap those shut because, again, for the reasons I just told you. And then always follow strict cleaning procedures and the product's manufacturer's instructions for use and storage of your products. All right, so now we're going to talk about product safety. So companies and individuals who market cosmetics, they do have a legal responsibility to ensure the safety and proper labeling of their products. So under the law, cosmetics must not be misbranded. For example, they must be safe for consumers when used according to the directions on the label or in the customary or expected way. Also, if a cosmetic product makes a drug claim and it's not properly labeled, then the FDA can take legal action against a cosmetic on the market if they have reliable information showing that it is misbranded. So that's like if they're saying, for instance, I'll give you an example of that. If they're saying, well, this product here, if you use this product, all of your rhytids will disappear. Well, that's making a drug claim because it's saying it's changing the structure of the skin, and it's false. It won't get rid of all of the rhytids, especially if they're deep ones and in the dermal tissue. Now, If they're very superficial, fine ones, using certain products like chemical peels, then yeah, you can make a little difference in the skin. Not, I mean, you can make some difference. I've seen it. But deep ones you can't get rid of. So that's what they're talking. Now, adverse reactions. Many ingredients used in skincare products and treatments, they can cause adverse skin reactions. So, fragrances and some preservatives and your chemical sunscreen ingredients are among the most common allergens. The number one allergen, it is fragrance. That's what causes the biggest issues in skincare products. And then, of course, chemical sunscreen ingredients, anything that contains salicylates or your benzoates, they do cause a lot of, they're allergen and an irritant. All right, so let's talk about the symptoms of that. So it is often very difficult to distinguish whether a reaction is allergic or an irritant. Physicians indicate that in general, symptoms of an irritant reaction would include burning, while itching, on the other hand, would be more of a sign of an allergic reaction. So an irritant would include burning, itching would be more of an allergic reaction. Now, additional symptoms may include inflammation of the skin. You may see blisters, hives, which is urticaria, or rashes. Their eyes may swell, puff, and produce tears. That's another thing to watch for. In addition, adverse reactions, they may be detected immediately after the product application. But also, guys, remember, a lot of allergies do not show up until a few days, even weeks later. So you want to be aware of your client's allergies and the ingredients that are being used in your treatment. That's really important to avoid these adverse reactions. So how do we know this? Well, it's during our consultation. Your consultation is really important to disclose any of those potential allergies that the client may have. And this should be indicated too on the client's health intake form. So what I do is, if I know that a client is having or allergic to something, I'll write it on the front page in red and circle it where everybody can see it. And that's what we would like you guys to do on your forms, so that we can see that when we're going over the intake forms. And so make sure that you guys do indicate that in any other health conditions as well. Okay, and you want to, again, make sure that if there is, electricity being used in the treatment, that you guys also check for those contraindications as well. All right, patch test. Now, if there is a concern, the best way that you can guard against reactions is just go ahead and perform a small patch test. So what a patch test means is we're going to take the product, in the questionable product, and we're going to put it on the inside of the arm right here, or we're going to put it behind the ear. You don't want to put it here or here, if they have a reaction, then they got to run around with this big, spot on their face. So you put it behind their ear or on the inside of their arm. Now you watch, and if there is any reaction within 24 hours, the product should not be used. Okay, so make sure that you at least go the 24 hours. Another thing that I like to do is, if I have a question on a product that I'm not positive, with my client, what I'll do is I'll give them a little bit in a little cup or something, and I'll say, after 24 hours, put it on again. Maybe if you did it here, then I'll say put it on here on the back of the ear, and then let's watch another 24, because some people, it won't show up until a second time. So anyway, that's just what I do. All right, so how do we handle adverse reactions? Well, during a facial treatment, if their skin becomes excessively red or the client complains of burning, then immediately remove that product, rinse their skin with cold water because that's a vasoconstrictor, and then apply cool compresses until their skin calms down. So having products to calm skin reactions is also a recommended precaution. So as I've told you guys, I use PCA Skin, and one of our, in this one, Clinicalm, this one has 1% hydrocortisone in it. So if there is a reaction, you've got that right there handy. If you don't use this product line, you can buy it over the counter in 1% concentration. Now there's a caution here that we need to talk about. If a client does have an allergic reaction to your product that does require medical treatment, the manufacturer of the product line is responsible unless, here's the unless part, unless the product was purchased in bulk and it was repackaged by the salon in smaller containers and resold, in which the case, in that case, it would be the salon's fault. If the product is made in the salon's responsible for whatever happens. Okay, so malpractice insurance, it does not generally cover products formulated or repackaged in a salon. So keep that in mind, because a lot of people like to go and, try to buy in bulk and then put it in smaller containers. If you do that, you're responsible. Otherwise, if, say, there's a reaction with a skincare product, then the company is the one that's responsible. So just keep that in mind. Now, if your client does contact you regarding that they are having an adverse reaction from a home care product that you've recommended, first off, advise them to discontinue using the product immediately. And then they may choose to use an over-the-counter hydrocortisone cream, which that's what I have in mind, but you can buy it over the counter to help subside the symptoms subside. If the reaction is really serious, then that's when they should go seek medical care, and then they should take the product with them so that the physician can determine what caused the problem and treat it accordingly. Okay, so the manufacturer of the product should also be notified. And they always have their 1-800 number on their products. So you can give them a call and let them know what happened. I've seen that happen once with, it was an eyelash tint, and the lady was allergic to hair color. Like, why would she get her eyelashes tinted? Anyway, she did, and didn't say anything, didn't note it on her client intake form either, and she had a really severe reaction, and it did require medical treatment. And so in that case, the manufacturer was notified and everything, but it wasn't the product, it was her not giving all the information that should have been given. So always check those intake forms, and guys, reiterate everything to the client. Say, oh, I see here that you're saying you don't have any allergies, and then say you don't have any to food or any products or anything like that. All right, so the check-in. Here's your check-in questions that you guys need to answer, and that is, what agency in the United States is responsible for ensuring the safety of our nation's cosmetics including makeup and skincare products. Okay, and then the second question, by law, what's the difference between a cosmetic and a drug? Okay, and then the third question, why are INCI names used on product labels for ingredients? And then the fourth question, what are the most common allergens in skincare products? And then the last one that you need to answer, what should an esthetician do if during a facial treatment the client does have an adverse reaction? Okay, so I need you guys to answer those questions and then email those to me at krista@oliverfinley.com. And then after you go back and read this section, there's two do sections that you need to do. And the first one is product safety, true and false. And the second one is product selection, case study. Okay, so I need you guys to complete that, and I'll see you in the next section.